Call the workshop on Clear Lake landings to order. It's August 11th. Commissioner Smith, you give us the prayer and the pledge, please, sir.
Our Father, we thank you now for this opportunity to be servants of this city. We thank you, God, for all those that are present today. We ask, Lord Father, that you will bring together a meeting of the minds, so God, that we may come to a resolve, a solution to the problem that exists. And we ask for all your blessings in our Son Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we get started. We need to. I don't even have the decorum statement with me, so we'll just. Hopefully, we will keep everybody be cordial. Vlad, why don't you come on down and. I know Vlad and his team have put together a lot of work and got Greg in the back who helped us put this, at least the option one together for us. And so he's here for any technical questions as far as the actual setup of the pump station and the irrigation. So Vlad, go ahead, take it up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Vladimir Simonovsky. I'm the Public Works Director. I'm a civil engineer. And I'm glad that some of you were able to beat the traffic and show up on time. And also being in the sun and the vehicle, it's not easy.
Turn, Vlad, your mic isn't on.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So, this workshop is basically a follow-up of the meeting, the update to the problem that we presented at the City Council meeting on July 16th. So for some of you that were not here, that were not present, that you don't have the information on what the update was, I'm going to give a brief introduction to some history of the problem and what was presented as an update as option one, and then we'll go to an alternative solution that we may want to take a look into. So basically, the historic issues in brief, as you can see on the photo, Clearwater Lake is a closed basin lake located in the city of Apopka, just west of Camp Weaver, where you can see that it's just to the east of Mud Lake. This lake has been experiencing higher water levels in the recent years, adversely affecting the residents of Clear Lake Landing and Clear Lake Estates, which is to the north. The lake is private and owned by 4 separate entities, which is Clear Lake Landing HOA. This is the property, the development to the south of the lake. Clear Lake Estates LLC, which is the development to the north, more like a northeast of the lake. Avian Point Community Association, which is the property, the development to the west and to the northwest, and Miss Sandra Gay Last, who lives on the east side right next to Binion Road. It was determined that irrigation water inflow along with excessive rainfall caused the rise of the lake's water level. So the immediate response in 2003, so to assist the adversely affected properties in 2003, the city permitted and executed emergency pumping of the lake, and the emergency pumping was deployed in February of 2023 and finished in April of the same year. During the 3-month operations, the lake's water level was reduced by 3.4 feet, and the total cost of the pumping was $194,150. So, different long-term alternative solutions were considered following the emergency pumping, and 3 options were actually considered. Option 1 was to reduce the recycle the lake surface water as irrigation source. Option 2 was to pump the surface water to the North Shore Reclaim Water Treatment Plant. And option 3 was to repeat temporary pumping whenever needed. Eventually, option 1 was selected as best alternative due to less stress on the city's reclaimed water system. Clear Lake Landing HOA owns this system, and St. John's River Water Management District and the state of Florida DEP approve of this solution. So, following the temporary pumping operation, as I stated earlier, the city contracted the Balmoral Group to design and permit a long-term solution for this problem to assist the affected communities. The long-term solution consists of construction of alternative water supply irrigation, pump station for for Clear Lake Landing, and disconnection of this residential development's municipal reclaimed water system. The project design started in April of 2024 for the cost of $68,900 and has been completed and permitted with the Water Management District as a consumptive use permit in January 2025. The permit is issued to Clear Lake Landing. The normal water level of Clearwater Lake is at elevation of 65 feet, and the district permit allows surface water withdrawal for irrigation down to elevation of 63 feet, which is bringing the surface water 2 feet down. The current lake elevation is 69.58 feet. This was taken on Friday. I'm sorry, yes. And this is approximately 3.4 inches from the 69.3 feet that was measured on July 1st. So as you can see, in 2 weeks period between July 1st and July 16, when we had the first council meeting, the surface water level, we had some rain, went up to approximately about 5.5 feet. And then since that point, in the following 3 weeks, came down approximately 2 inches to now 3.4 inches above the 69.3 feet. So we also looked at the funding sources for option one at the council meeting on the July 16th. And the construction cost estimate is approximately $456,000, $397,200 for construction, and another $59,600 in 15% contingency. That resulted in approximately $3,000 per household, and we're talking only about Clear Lake Landing community. We have not considered the other two, Clear Lake Estates and the Avian Point. So basically, Avian Point already deposited $60,000 in support services, and city is willing to provide another $60,000 in support services or in-kind services for this project, which remains the HOA Clear Lake Landing to have a cost of approximately $336,000, which includes also the 15% contingency. This approximately equals to about $2,400 per household, as this development has 142 homes. The city expenses to date, as we reported at the same council meeting, between the emergency pumping and the design of the pump station and the entire irrigation system, is $263,000. So the next slide shows the basin evaluation. Basically, I have put two maps here. The one to the left, you can see the pre-development basin. So everything colored in magenta or reddish color shows how the drainage basin looked before any of the three developments happened here. And this is 2004, 2005. So Clear Lake Estates was the first that was constructed approximately 2004, 2005. Then in 2015, Clear Lake Landing on the south side came, and 2019 and 2020, Avian Point started construction. So when you look at that, Avian Point basically had 47 acres of the basin, Clear Lake Estates 12 acres, and Clear Lake Landing about 71 acres. The map to the right shows the post-development basin, right, after all of these three developments were built. So as you can see, Avian Point went from 47 acres to 36 acres, actually from 32% of the overall to about 24% of the overall contribution to the basin. And on the top of it, they provided two dry retention ponds along the west side and along the northwest side abutting the lake. Clear Lake Estates actually went almost double the contribution from 12 acres since pre-development to post-development to 23 acres, and Clear Lake Landing went from 71 acres contribution to 85. And you can clearly see that it's basically a combination of the red and the blue as the blue being what was developed after these three properties were completely developed. So the option one was the one that was presented as an update at the council meeting on July 6th, the 16th. We looked, I believe Commissioner Nesta asked for maybe to look for different alternatives. We looked at option two that will potentially bring, which was already considered in the original evaluation of the solution. This will actually propose a pump station with easement uh, somewhere on the near the northwest side of the lake, which is inside the Clear Lake Landing development. And you can see that on the map. So basically, option two proposes, it's called the transfer surface water to North Shore Reclaim Water Treatment Plant, which you can see that's the facility to the in the lower left corner. This is owned by the city, and basically this solution is to divert and pump about 19.2 million gallons a year from Clearwater Lake to city-owned North Shore Reclaim Water Treatment Plant. This alternative will require construction of a pump station on a private property and designation of public easement, which is shown on the map. Surface water can be stored in two existing 10 million gallon reservoirs that you can see also on the map, or treated for public access reuse. The water management district, St. John's River Water Management District, will need to review if this design is actually permissible, and if acceptable, it will most likely result in the city having to revise its consumptive use permit. The HOA will bear the construction cost of this system, which is estimated at around $1 million. So on the next slide, I'm going to show some calculations that we have done so you can compare between option one and option two. And this cost analysis of option one includes only Clear Lake Landing. And we looked at a 5-year option and a 10-year option with the monthly payments for each of the household of the development, which consists of 142 homes. So if we look at the capital financing cost, I know I said $336,000, but the estimate is, let's say, at about $350,000 loan with 5-year at approximately 6% right now. That will be about $47.65 monthly per household. The operations and maintenance cost will be at about $18.14 a month, and the removal of the city reclaimed water services with the fiscal year 2026 rates, it's basically saving of $85.47 per household. For this year, the numbers are $74, but effective October 1st, our average approximation is at about $85.47. This will result in a monthly saving for the household of $19.68. So approximately $20 a month saving if option one is selected over a 5-year payment. The 10-year is pretty much the same model. That will result in a monthly estimate saving per household of about $40. So option two pretty much presents taking the water from the lake over to the North Shore Reclaim Water Treatment Plant. And I also provided a 5-year and a 10-year estimates. And this is also for Clear Lake Landing only. So the capital financing cost, if we look at a 5-year at 6%, $1 million total, it's $136.15, right? There will be no operation and maintenance cost, and there will be no removal of the city reclaimed water system. So the total estimated monthly cost per homeowner will be total of $136.15. The 10-year will result in about $78.18. Also considering the 10-year at the 6%. So this means that the city, as we stated, will require an easement, so the station can be placed in an easement, and the operation and maintenance cost will be the responsibility of the city, and the residents will continue to receive reclaimed water. So the option two considers Clear Lake Landing and Clear Lake Estates together, right? So Clear Lake Estates consists of 47 homes, and combined with the Clear Lake Landing, that will be a total of 189 homes. The 5-year option will result in a $102.29, and the 10-year option will result in a $58.74 a month per household. And again, the residents will continue to receive reclaimed water, and they will be charged for that reclaimed water. So, in comparison, if I go back to the first one, if Clear Lake Landing goes alone, that will be 136.15 over 5 years. If the Clear Lake Landing and Clear Lake Estates come together, that will be 102.29. And for the 10-year, will be 78.18 versus the 58.74. And eventually, the third scenario is to include Avian Point. And how was this calculated to the two other developments? I calculated the 24% of the contribution to the drainage basin, which resulted in approximately, I believe, 55 homes to equal 234 homes total between the three developments. So again, the 5-year option will result in $82.62 a month per homeowner or household, and the 10-year will result in $47.44 per homeowner or household. And that's the 3 different scenarios with the option 2 that we're bringing to you this evening, in comparison to the option 1 that was presented on the July 16th council meeting.
Any questions for Vlad?
Were insurance costs calculated for this in any way? Under operation and maintenance costs, anything along those lines? So I have you because you're estimating around $31,000 in maintenance costs per year for option 1.
For option 1, okay, if I go back, there was $18.14 per household.
Times 142 times 12, so $31,000 per year. I did the math. Just trust
Yes,
me.
okay.
Just trust me on that
Okay,
one.
yes.
So you feel that that's a accurate cost for maintenance per year?
This is the cost that was provided. We reached out to Mr. Gregory Seidel, who is the engineer of Balmoral,
Okay.
who designed the system, and this is the information we got from him.
Okay. And then were there any insurance costs built into this estimate at all?
No.
Insurance, no.
So insurance, like risk insurance, things of that nature, insurance should anything happen to it, stuff like that.
So the answer is no.
Okay.
Greg.
Got it.
Thank you, Greg.
Greg, you didn't come down and thanks.
Does Gregory
So-
work for us?
He's our
I
consultant.
didn't see Greg.
Oh, 'cause
Yeah.
it's the first time I've ever heard it.
Yeah, he was here last time.
Oh, I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm Greg Seidel with the Balmoral Group. Our business is located 165 Lincoln Avenue, Winter Park, Florida. And I'm the engineer of record on the consumptive use permit, and I put together the estimate to which you are speaking. It's the overall maintenance estimate is what it is at this point. It's kind of a maintenance estimate. But I did not specifically look at was there an insurance cost associated with the insurance on the system. It was more of, parts are going to break. You don't really cover those with insurance. So it's more of a liability. It was more of a, what's the lifetime of these parts, and you're going to have to replace those. So I kind of added a factor in there to the maintenance cost, assuming that they're going to, save up money. So if the pump goes out, for example, they can buy a new pump. There's warranty on certain materials, if they break before that. So there's not really a life cycle cost for every single one, but it was just kind of a good engineer estimate based on past experience with these systems.
Okay, understood. Thank you for that. And thank you for being here tonight as well.
Yep.
For the consumptive use permit itself, how difficult or not difficult is it to, I guess, adjust it if we were to pump this directly into our system?
The issue is your discharge location. So since right now you're basically just pumping the water back into the yards, and then that's going into the groundwater. But now you're going to pump it over to the Lake Apopka Basin. So if you're going to do this in an emergency situation, it then becomes what's the effect on the water quality? And so that's what that when they issue those emergency permits, that's something they take in. That's one of the factors that they take into account. So when you say what would the difficulty be, it's almost a bit going back to square one because it's a different use of the water, right? And
But
it's
if we introduce it to like our system, how this option 2 is kind of describing it, to where it's pumped into our facility. So not into Lake Apopka, it's pumped into our facility.
let's just speak to
We,
that.
we've
But
got to treat it. We got to treat it just like it's
right.
any
So
other
it's going to
water.
be Yeah.
Correct. So there's going to be additional treatment there, right? We, by moving this water, the only option that we have there is to go into the existing wet well that is technically collecting water from Lake Apopka. There's a sluice gate that we can isolate and then pump that water into the two dry ponds that actually have a filter system. But even after that, there's has to be some chlorination in order to
Reintroduce it back.
put it back into the public access.
But so that doesn't, specific to the consumptive use permit, how does that affect our consumptive use permit? How is that process? How easy or difficult would it be to adjust it?
Well, it will affect it because it will require a modification of the overall reclamation water facility permit, right? All these reclaimed water plants are in a way tied to the wastewater treatment plant. So they're all on the same permit. So any changes to the system overall, any introduction, let's say, of a surface water or any other water that will come into the system will require modification of the permit.
Would it be similar? Educate me on this, please. Similar to like adding a neighborhood. If we added a new neighborhood somewhere, would we have to adjust our consumptive use permit to take them into account if we're taking some water from them? Or
No, because this is the reclaimed water. We're going to be introducing to that neighborhood the reclaimed water that is already treated, right? Only we introduce a new source of reclaimed water. In that case, we will be required to modify the permit.
Yeah, so the permit we obtained is specifically for irrigation from the lake into the subdivision. And so it's not it's an irrigation permit, right, basically. And so instead of getting your irrigation through the reclaimed water, we got a surface water uh, consumptive use permit, that's something that the water management districts are promoting because it helps save the groundwater. So that's why it was, that was one of the things that assisted us with this is they like the idea of us using surface water for irrigation, and then that also that reclaimed water could then be used elsewhere to offset groundwater use.
So we go back to the original. We brought Greg on board to do the initial workup was that we were going to take the system on, which that was our initial goal was for us, the city, to take on the pump station. What we found out is because now if it's a city controlled pump station, then we have to go through the regulatory process, including chlorination and all that. So the reason we've now have to put it to the HOA and they have to control it is because it goes back.
Yeah, this is essentially a golf course irrigation permit, right? So this is what golf courses do. They pump out a lake to irrigate the golf course. So it's private water from their ponds going onto their private property. So since it was a homeowners association, there's a lot of Department of Environmental Protection regulations that, because it's treated like a golf course system, that don't have to be met, that normally would be and would increase the cost of doing this. So, for example, the reuse system, those have to be, the water has to be tested and those systems have to be clean before you can turn them on. This one, we're just pumping out of the lake. We just turn it on. The assumption is the lake water's clean, right? But we're separating it completely from the existing reuse. We have these locations where we're actually severing the pipe and putting no pipe back. And then if we need to reconnect because of a long drought, then they would put the pipe back in, and they'd have to go back to the DEP to get that permit, and we would have to drain and clean the system.
Okay. So
I
when
tried to
was the
keep my
last
answers
time?
short. I'm sorry.
Say that again.
I try to keep my answers short. I'm sorry.
No, it's helpful.
Yeah.
When was the last time we adjusted or revised our consumptive use permit?
The permit, I believe, 2022,
So
and the next due it's typically every 5 years. So it's going to be most likely near the end of July of 2027.
okay. And then, and this is slightly off topic, but it's not. Border Lake, if we move forward with that pumping on that lake, we would have to adjust our consumptive use permit.
Well, it's related to the overall. Again, this system will not be directly connected to the consumptive use permit. It's connected to the reclamation water facility, right? So it's for the wastewater and the reclaimed water. Now, in effect, if you're introducing any kind of changes to the system, they may affect the consumptive use permit if it's coming from, let's say, near Wekiva River, that is protected area, right? In this case, probably it won't affect the consumptive use permit. It will
But
only
the-
affect the water reclamation facility.
But
Permit.
Border Lake, will we have to get a revised consumptive use permit for that project?
Probably.
Probably for the water reclamation
But
facility.
we'll also have
Yes.
to treat that water. That'll have to be treated
Yes.
with chlorine.
I understand. Like we'll have to have its own
Yes.
little plant out there, basically. Not
Correct.
massive, but a plant.
Correct. Yep.
I understand.
Yes,
Okay.
and that system will have a completely different type of treatment. It will have a more sophisticated filtration, disk
Right.
filtration that will have to bring it to a certain
I
standard.
understand.
Yes.
So then this lake itself, is it spring fed at all? Do we know anything about that?
I don't know if it's spring fed. All we know is it's a closed drainage basin.
Okay.
So basically, what I showed on one of the previous slides. Let me see if I can go back.
You don't know, Greg,
Yes.
do you? You have any idea?
Yes, I did not specifically study it, but I would just say the fact that it holds water for such a long time, there's groundwater coming into it from
Lends itself
somewhere.
to that.
Whether it's coming from the Florida aquifer or just from the superficial aquifer, it does have some type of groundwater source feeding it. But
Okay.
I couldn't tell you specifically which one.
Understood. Okay. Yeah, and then my question was just leading then to just the cleanliness of the water itself. If we're going to be spraying it on lawns where kids are playing, I would say golf courses are different than residential lawns. So I just want to make sure if you can speak to that in that process.
Well, it is called Clearwater Lake, right? But we did not do any water quality testing on it, and so the assumption is that I'm working under was that the local, the city, it's a private lake, so I'm assuming if there are water quality issues, that would be known, right? That it's, hey, we're having these issues down there. But usually, with the lakes themselves, clarity is a big factor, right? And is it good or bad water quality? But then there's also, I can tell you that I irrigate from my lake at my yard, and I don't have to put any fertilizer on it, right? Because there's enough fertilizer in the water already. So I don't, this was near an orange grove for years. How much did they fertilize in the orange grove? How much nitrogen and phosphorus is in there? But those aren't really harmful, if you will, right? So is there arsenic? I have no idea, right? And is there things like that in the water? I assume there's not, and it was tested when the developments were going on.
Have we tested? Do we have any tests on file in the recent years that we can at least point to in any capacity?
No, I haven't encountered any tests.
So that may be beneficial to do just to kind of check that off and make sure that that's being tested in some capacity. So although it is Clearwater Lake being out there, it's not that clear in its current form. So just want to make sure that's being addressed in some capacity. I think it's my questions for now. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody else with any questions?
Well, my question is, option one appeared to be cheaper at the $336,000 as opposed to option two that came up to $1 million.
Correct.
So
Yeah, because the capital cost is less than including piping of almost more than quarter of a mile.
right. So
to
so
bring
the
it to the other
financial
side.
impact on the homeowners is less with option one than it is option two. Did I look at that correct?
Yes.
Well, yes, with option one, at 5 year loan, they will have approximately $20 a month extra in their
Savings.
pocket savings, right?
Mhm.
With 10 years, it will be probably 40. And again, this is only for fiscal year 26 rates. 27, there will be another 15.5% probably saving on the top of it. And as we propose the new rates going into 28 and 29 will be additional 3.5 for those 2 additional years. So in general, overall, the cost of providing services will increase, and option one will definitely provide more saving in that regard
All right.
than
So,
what we are presenting here.
all right. So we talked about the cost per homeowner. So where would the initial funding come from?
The initial funding, as I stated, about 336,000 will come from the HOA. So this is calculating basically a loan of $350,000. That's what I'm showing on that table
All
in
right.
option one.
So in option one, the home HOA will have to come up to $336,000, and with
Yes,
option two, the homeowners got to come up with $1 million.
with $1 million. Correct. Correct. Because it's a longer distance, there's more equipment, and yeah, it's the capital cost is definitely higher. Yes.
And I do want to add a comment so that there's a clear understanding here is that neither of these options, if we get a really bad storm, a very bad hurricane that dumps 25 inches of rain, there's still going to be flooding in those houses, right? Because those pumps aren't going to be designed to handle that much rain. So this isn't going to completely eliminate the possibility of flooding. And, these are the options that we look at. And with the irrigation rate, it's more of the neighborhood has control about how much water they take out. And again, with this pump system, it's in anticipation of a hurricane, you would start pumping or something like that. But it's going to have to be monitored and controlled, if you will. But just the location in those closed basins, and it's a common problem here.
I appreciate
So
that
is
clarity. I
that,
guess that creates a
can I,
new issue, or I guess the
c-
real dynamic between option one and option two. Option one keeps all the water within the same basin. Option two removes it from that basin.
Well, option one is removing the reuse water. So right now the reuse is coming into the basin. So we're kind of taking, if you looked at the irrigation rates, it's kind of the amount of water going in the basin is now going to be reduced by double the current irrigation rate. Because the current reuse water that everyone uses in that basin, and this is the premise of this work, was that that's water being introduced into the basin, right? So
But it's not the whole. It's not the whole entirety of each neighborhood, though, that
correct,
is in the new basin.
correct. It's just for this particular.
When you got when the calculations or the estimates were done for the water that was being introduced, was it calculating the new water basin where it's a few homes in the north neighborhoods and a few homes in the south neighborhoods, or was it all neighborhood, all neighborhood?
Yeah, can you? I didn't fully
So
understand the
there's
question.
because, and I'm looking at this map, and I don't know how to use the correct terminology or vernacular for this
Yeah,
industry.
so that's surface water runoff, and I was strictly dealing with the irrigation rates in the neighborhood.
Right. So
Okay.
you calculated the entire neighborhood when you were taking into account, because I want to say it was like 50 million gallons or 58 million, maybe in the number.
Y-
You were calculating the
Yes.
entire neighborhood.
Yeah, it's based on the 142 homes being converted from the reuse to the lake surface water.
But not all in this map, not all 142 homes are currently contributing to the additional water to the basin through irrigation.
Well, it's the water itself. A lot of irrigation water has gone from evapotranspiration, but a good portion goes into the ground as well. And so that irrigation water is seeping into the lakes through the ground.
So I understand that,
Yeah.
but only in the orange section.
Plus the blue.
Yeah.
The blue is the post development.
So blue and orange.
Blue and orange is actually what's happening now.
Yeah, the assumption is everything is sloping down towards the lake. There wasn't a detailed study with wells to find out where the high point of the groundwater was, right? But it kind of follows the main ground contours. So the estimation is that, yes, all the water in the neighborhood would seep down those slopes and down into, but there was not a detailed study for that as part of this.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Let me ask you one more question about I guess, 20 feet outside of the entrance to Clear Lake's landings, between the road and the sidewalk, there is some kind of a well. What is that?
Clear Lake Landing to the south entrance or to the one on Binion?
The one off Benyon, across the Mud Lake or whatever you call it.
I'm not aware of
Yeah, I'm not aware of any wells. There is a valve there for the reuse system. That's a pretty large valve. But as far as any actual wells that I'm not aware of
Okay.
anything associated with the irrigation system that currently
Well,
exists.
I went out and took a picture.
Yeah.
So right outside of the entrance, there's this grate,
Correct. That's a drainage.
and then there's this concrete box that goes down, and then there's a culvert that comes into that concrete box
Yeah, so that's probably collecting water from the road.
and going where?
I can look at my laptop. I think I have a map open.
Okay.
I'll get an answer in a second.
Okay. Any other questions from this side?
I just have a quick question. So, is there any option that will permanently assist if there's any type of to stop the flooding?
Again, it's
I know.
cost, right? There's always an option, right? And it's cost and it's impacts. But the issue, what we refer to in drainage when you have a closed basin is we refer to what we call the overtopping elevation. So somewhere that if it fills up to a certain point, the water can flow out the side and go downhill somewhere. And so in this case, the overtopping elevation is basically where your pump system is, right? For this way, but then also, over into the other lakes, you have to find the low points. I didn't do a drainage analysis for this basin, so I'm not aware of where it would be. So that overall solution is a bit hamstrung by our stormwater rules, right? So if we these days we try and design an emergency overflow, but there's no rule that requires you to do that, right? We're required to meet the FEMA regulations, the Water Management District regulations, and we're showing no adverse impacts to the other properties. So that's what we're required to do. The emergency planning and the resiliency that you're talking about, which is what your question is, that's what's come up currently because the storm events are more than we designed for. So, that's the legislator coming up with the rules, and I understand there was a new rule on that doesn't allow the local agencies to put forth any more restrictive criteria than the state has. And so that's something I just heard about. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's something as the engineers that we would have to look at. So to answer your question, it would require a study, recommendations, a lot of the stuff you're seeing here. It would be kind of going back to the drawing board and looking how do we make that happen? And then how do we make it happen without adversely impacting the other neighbors downstream? Right? That's the problem about water is if you move it somewhere, there's someone there downstream that's flooding, right? Otherwise you wouldn't need a permit from the Water Management District to do this, right? That's the rules and the regulations require that. And by the way, drainage is my expertise. Irrigation is something I've done as well. So.
Commissioner Velasquez?
No, I'm kind of just getting a whole education here.
Yes, that's a lot.
Believe it or not, a whole education here.
Yeah, I think it was just important to kind of hear from the homeowners and kind of what
Yeah.
they're thinking.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the entrance to the Lake States, right? As you can see, these few units,
I can't see that.
they probably collect water from Binion Road. They got county water until recently. And then take up the blue. The blue stuff from there, take it down. But I can double check the elevations and see.
So that water's probably going there as well.
And that's been there a while too, though.
Yeah, that's historic.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yes, that's what I was told from, the city of Apopka.
Say it's doing what?
It's pumping out mudway, keeping mudway not to overflow. It's a pump there, cause they still working on it.
I
This is what the city of Apopka told me, cause
I looked down inside. I didn't see a pump.
I'm sorry, what was that? They said it was, I couldn't hear what you were, what was the,
We need to be at the, okay, are we done with questions? If that, we can, anybody wants to speak on the matter, we come on up and we'll.
I need the cheat sheet. Oh, I need the cheat sheet.
Real quick, Mayor. Vlad, do you want to show Commissioners Anderson and Commissioner Vasquez this map real quick?
Yes.
Please.
Okay.
Okay, so Commissioner Smith was asking is, oh, you're coming out here too. There's an invite. Are you gonna come up too? This is Clear Lake Estates. You can come stay right. Clear Lake Landing is down here. This is my lake. There's a structure here. That way I'm not the only one. I'm gonna check what it says. Let's see. See, maintained, owner maintained by Orange County, right? In service. 6, 7,
it's service by
drains to the south. It was the south inward. And this is the south. Okay, so there's no like, that's probably the information we have on it now. Moving down this way.
I'm sorry for you, so that's Mud Lake, that's,
This
service
is
by
Mud
Orange
Lake.
County? Okay.
Mud Lake.
Yes,
Okay,
Mud
that's,
Lake.
That's the subdivision across from Clear Lake.
Correct. So this is an 18-inch pipe.
How big is that pipe?
18. And that's an secure reinforced concrete. It's also Orange County system, right? So this is connected to this end. So there's a map.
Greg, how big is Clear Lake? You remember how many acres? 30, 39, is that?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay.
39 acres, that's right, for Lakeside.
I trust you, Greg.
I think it's 39.
I gave you a bottle of water. I trust you enough.
They were
But
asking
it's
if the water overflows from here and goes into Vineyard,
I think this is just collecting from the road.
it's just collecting from the
Yes,
road?
That's what it looks like. Because it's in the public right away. You can kind of see, right? You can zoom in closer. You see, that's the ring right here, goes to a manhole. Move slow. And this pipe here is also 18-inch.
And where does that pump to? Where does that water go to?
It looks like it goes down this way, so let's look at this image. This is another Orange County operated and maintained.
Orange
Orange
County.
County, 47 acres.
Yes. Okay. Top rate 76.65. South 76.15. Inward 69.4. Out 68.9. So this is 69.4.
So the thing is any of that going to any of the lakes, the local lakes? If it,
Not a private lake.
if it drains only the road, where's all that being drained to?
This is the only lake that is isolated. Mud Lake, it's connected with all the other lakes
Okay.
and comes over to Lake Apopka. But this particular lake is the only one.
So is
So
anything,
this lake that we're dealing with today,
does any, that pump today, okay, that's the free.
I just got a text today from.
There aren't any pumps. There aren't any
Pump,
pumps.
so it's, not- oh, so it's not,
It's all
so it's
gravity
natural,
fed.
oh,
Yeah.
so it's not, okay, so there's no pump, so.
Mayor, with all due respect, can we find out what the discussion's about? I'm hearing about pumps and stuff like that, of where pumps are pumping to. Can you clarify that?
Well, I was asking, was there any of these pipes pumping into your lake? But there's no pumps in your lake,
there's no
so
pumps going.
I
Okay.
just want to
your
make
lake.
sure that we're not pumping into your lake.
Okay.
But
He's showing
he's
me
showing
where
us
the,
that it's,
the water goes across Binion
Yeah, all the
and the
information there,
direction it's going in.
it's all a gravity system that is operated and maintained by the county. So
Okay. That's what we're trying to clarify.
Yeah, no
Make
problem.
sure there's no pumps your, he's saying that your lake is the only one that is a closed lake. It has no pumps going into it.
Okay, well,
Okay.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
good.
yes,
All right.
That's
so
neat.
so
Thank you.
everything drains this way and ultimately ends up here.
Okay.
So it's not
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Trace
it's
now.
a drop
It's
in
not.
the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Ray.
Okay. All right, Brian, go ahead.
Sounds great. Mayor, commissioners, city staff, thank you for putting this on tonight. It really is kind of helpful to get it's a starting point instead of sitting at a kitchen table and emails back and forth. This is a good start to go from. So I do have one question. As I stated before, my name is James Brian Mater. I do go by Brian Mater. I live at 2556 Lamar Valley there in Clear Lake Landings. I am the board president for the community. I also have the vice president with me as well. My one question that I do have, just because I moved out here 4 years ago, is where does the reclaimed water come from?
We got a couple places. One is all of our wastewater gets converted to reclaimed water.
Okay,
We have some water coming from Altamont Springs. We have some coming from Utilities Inc. And then the balance, so in our dry months, comes from wells that we have. And we have to have those permitted by St. John's. As they tell us the maximum draw that we can take off.
okay.
Yep.
So nothing's coming from Lake Apopka at any time
No.
for the reclaim? Okay. I have a lot of notes on here because I'm like you, Ms. Velasquez, we're getting a study here. I also forgot to mention, thank you, Greg, for stepping up and helping out with this event. He did a really good job walking us along with the permit process. So thank you, Greg, and your company. My one question that I have is we have 4 total entities that own the lake. Why is Clear Lake Landings the only one fronting this bill?
Well, you're not fronting the bill if you pick option one. You're saving money every month. Listen, we'd love to take it on. I can tell you, my utility department would love to take it on. I'd love to.
Then we're
make
done.
Huh?
You take
We
it on,
can't.
we're done.
We can't. That's what we've already
Yeah,
talked
yeah.
about. I can't take it on. So you're going to save $20 a month. And the problem is, if we put a pump station at Wekiwa Estates, Clear Lake Estates, because they're a much smaller neighborhood, basically all the infrastructure is basically the same with 42 homes. So it doesn't make near the economic sense for them to do it.
I understand you say that we're going to save money.
Yeah.
But we have no real studies. We don't have an insurance to find out what the insurance is going to cost. We have no idea what Duke is going to charge right now, all the way to 2027 to 2029. We have no idea how much that's going to go up. We're being told that there's a study and we're going to, or excuse me, the savings, but where's the savings from? Where's the data at? That's what I want to see. How did we come up? I don't want a spreadsheet. I want to see the actual data of where did the maintenance come from a maintenance company coming in here to maintain it monthly? Because I imagine we probably got to maintain the pumps monthly in order to
Yeah.
get the
Well, I don't know. Greg, do you have a breakout? A more.
Yeah, so that's if you look at the estimate that I gave.
You need to come back up, please, sir.
Yeah, so there is an estimate in the documents, and that was included within the monthly maintenance cost in the documents that I had put together. I don't know, and those were the documents that I forwarded on. I don't have that handy. I apologize for that.
Okay, we can get that to them.
Yeah, this was
Okay.
kind of last minute.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I basically took, and as part of my engineer's estimate, and with my background, I've had the irrigation of knowing what would go into the maintenance and kind of putting together a high-end estimate to say this is where things should really fall out. And then part of that is the existing irrigation system maintenance also, right? You still have the existing water valves and all the items that have to be maintained there as well. So that's why I put it on the higher end.
So I'd like to see the actual breakdown, including the insurance, the monthly maintenance of who's going to do this work. Who's this going to fall on if we have all 4 entities? Who's going to be the controlling factor of, are we going to have a separate board that just controls this pump station? Or
It's yours.
but if we have 4 entities involved with it,
You're not. It's you.
But why is it fair to the Clear Lake Landings?
to save $20 a month. I don't know.
You're saying save $20 a month. I don't see it yet. So we can't really go on something that we can't see or touch. We're guesstimating right now.
No, we're more than guessing, but
Well, we're
it's
guessing.
not down to the nickel. You're right.
Yeah. So I like to see what the dollar amount really actually is
Okay.
with the energy factor.
Sure.
What kilowatt was used? What's those motors use a month? Do we really know?
Sure.
What happens if this pump comes up out of the ground and we have a lot to repair? We're going to have to set a line item within our budget as well, just for the maintenance of this pump, which is important.
Okay.
But once again, why is Clear Lake Landings the only one out of 4 entities that own this thing, blunting the entire bill?
I go back to you're saving $20 a month.
I think there's
I can't
other
be more
so
clear
there are
about
other options, correct? So you guys are not. Do you
If
guys
you want to do
wanna
option
consider-
2, absolutely. You would have
So I
Avian
guess we
Point
got other
and
options. So the first
Findlay County
option.
States. Absolutely, have them involved. Then
Can
everybody
you
pays
pull
money.
that option 2 back up, that cost?
Option 2 with all of them.
So
All of
option
them paying. Yeah,
all of
put
them
all
paying.
3 of them in there. There you go.
it's four or 3 entities.
Yes.
So with more people involved, we're spending more money.
Sure.
Why is that?
Brian,
I'm
getting-
just asking a
you're getting
simple
free
question.
water, man. I don't know how else to tell you that.
Free what? Nothing's free. Nothing's free. There's a cost somewhere along the line. Somebody's paying for it. Nothing's free. Let's just get that out of the off the table. Nothing's free.
So
It's going to come from somewhere. Who's going to pay if this lake is going down low? Who's going to cover the cost to reapply for the permit? Clear Lake Landings, right?
Will.
What's that?
We will.
You would cover that cost.
No, we will get the permit. We'll have to if we have to reconnect you, we'll reconnect you. That's
Who's going to pay to reconnect?
we will.
I haven't heard anything like that. So
So
I'm not.
are we trying to are we trying to solve the flooding or are we trying to solve the drought? I mean, I don't
I'm not here to solve the drought. I'm here to protect my
okay.
community. That's what
Okay.
I'm here to do.
Okay.
And so that's the reason why I'm asking the
Sure.
questions.
Sure.
Because 5 years from now, if we have to reconnect back
Yep.
into this pump
Yep.
or back into the reclaim, who's going to cover the cost?
We are.
Okay, so the city's going to do
Sure.
that. 100%. So if
Yes.
it costs 100,000, you might have to
It's
go
not
get it.
that much. It's peanuts. Just 2 feet of
Everything's
pipe.
free and peanuts, man.
Huh?
I like it. Everything's free and peanuts. So, my other question is where is Mud Lake being pumped into?
It's not being pumped. It's
There's no.
No.
Is there a pump over there?
Nope.
Nothing. Okay.
Nope.
Water testing, has that been factored in?
can you test private?
we haven't tested. No.
Okay. That's probably some steps that we need to take if we're getting ready to move this forward. So we probably need water testing
Sure.
to make sure that the chemicals and stuff aren't in there. I already have insurance, electricity factors, monthly maintenance and repairs. Another question I have is we were never really given option 1, 2, or 3. It was like Clear Lake, this is what it is. We're going to put the permit in your name.
Correct.
You guys are going to fund it. It's going to cost $450,000. Now all of a sudden the city has another $60,000. Avion Point is covered in $60,000. So we found $120,000 just by having a couple meetings here and there. We've never really. I want to get that on the record. We never really had an option 2, 3 at all. It was just Clear Lake. You're handling that. Also, who is taking the lake levels? Who's providing that data? Is it an outside firm or is the city doing that?
Inside.
Okay.
We just I think we've got how many lakes do we have? You know, Vlad, how many lakes we have on a I know we've got Border, we've got
We
Lake
have
Hammer.
Border, Lake Jackson, McDade, Blue, Lake Page,
Hammer.
Lake Hammer. Now
Clear.
we started measuring this one.
So 4 or 5 lakes that are across the city that we
Yeah,
we
it's
measure
more,
on
it's
a
more
monthly
than that.
basis.
I would say
Okay.
7 or 8.
Yep.
In option 2, you provided an estimate of a cost of over $1 million. How was that provided? How did you break that number down? Was there estimates given from outside companies?
No, we did an estimate based on the recent prices for the pipe installation for the particular size and the length and all the fixtures they required, plus the wet well and also some of the valves, pretty much all the equipment that is associated with that.
Is there a breakdown on that we can look as a community?
Uh,
I would think for $1
Yes.
million, ought to be something on a spreadsheet somewhere. Is
Yes.
there a way that we can get that, Mayor?
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah, we can
Absolutely.
provide it to you. Yes.
Do you have anything?
Well, just that we have a 12-page water study done in 2023.
Oh, you did?
You did one.
Oh, okay.
So
But what did it? I know we tested for nitrogen and phosphorus a while back. That was fine. We didn't go down deep into like arsenic or
it was a final approval that it was safe for reclaim.
right.
So I think really having a breakdown of the cost, because we have
Sure.
to answer to 142 homeowners
Absolutely.
of, exactly what the cost of things are going to be. We can't suffice them just that you're going to save $20 a month and just be happy. They want to know why, where, when, and how is this going to affect us, and
Right.
the fact of the liability of us taking on the pump for the homeowners. So
Sure.
we have to have all of that before really we can make a decision, because we have to stand before those homeowners to justify all of that.
Sure. I understand. Yeah.
And at the $20 a month savings, and we haven't factored in insurance, your insurance could be $2,800 just on that pump. So if you did $20 a month savings, as what you're stating, at 142 houses, that's $2,840 a month that we have to apply to insurance somewhere. We need we need more of a breakdown of what's
Well,
more
you need,
cost
if
factor.
you want to call your insurance agent could tell you what it would cost.
Our insurance would not cover it, just so you know. I did call.
Really?
Correct.
Me
It's
call.
over water.
Huh?
It's over water. They don't want to mess with something that's touching the water, anything hurricane related. There's also other insurance companies that I reached out to have a 10% hurricane deductible right
Sure.
off the bat of what that's insured for.
Sure.
So
Greg,
that
do you
would
have any ideas on insurance for pump stations? You might with your agricultural background. I don't know. Or most of them I know are just included in the package, but
Well, it also depends on the type of insurance. Is it a liability insurance or
Yeah,
is it a
something.
replacement insurance? So it's like when you buy something at Best Buy and they'll replace it up to a couple of years for so much. So it's what type of insurance are you getting? So, uh, being self-insured or having some type of policy, I wouldn't know how much those policies would
okay.
cost, but
I can work on that.
yeah, but those are the two types, right?
Yeah.
If someone gets hurt playing around the pump, right, and if something happens there, that's a type of insurance, and the other type would be to replace it if
Sure.
it gets damaged.
Right. Lightning strike, or I don't know how a hurricane could hurt a pump station.
just so we're
But God
clear,
help us if it.
I'm a licensed insurance agent. I do this for a living.
Sure.
That's why I do it all the time. I know what the coverages are. I know what's going on with it.
Yeah.
So as far as the coverage ratio on it, you're very limited on a pump station being there without it being actual cash value ACV.
Correct.
So which means that not only do you have a hurricane deductible of 5 to 10% of what we're insuring it for, so we could be liable for $90,000 in damage if a hurricane, the first $90,000 to fix it. Plus, it's also actual cash value. So then we have to front that bill. So that's when you're talking the cost savings of $18, that stuff has to be factored in as well.
Sure.
It's not factored in. So the cost savings, your $18 is slowly going down to where now we're back into the red of the HOA, having to cover it and the homeowners and the 142 homeowners.
And we don't have we priced out debt for this? Because
Yes.
there's some upfront costs for that as well.
We got 6%.
Well, other than just 6%, there's costs
Yes.
associated with getting the debt.
So, Commissioner Nestor, just to clarify, the two, as we said, 5 years and 10 years at 6% interest, right, for the 124 homes. If, let's say, what Mr. Mayor concern is, the saving is actually $20 only for the 5 years, the first 5 years. After that, the capital cost is covered completely. The loan is paid. So that 4765 comes out of the equation. So it will be whatever the cost is, let's say, of $18 plus
Yeah, I mean,
maybe some
we're-
insurance.
There's a lot more variables in this,
Yes.
though, and that's what we're discussing.
Yes,
So
exactly.
this isn't like a comprehensive approach to how we're budgeting anything. So this doesn't give the full picture of what this would look like, because as you go on, just like a car, the older the car gets, the more maintenance costs. So you have no maintenance costs and then big maintenance costs at the end, whereas this is going to be very similar, small, then very big. So probably after 5 years, stuff starts adding up to where it's not just $18, it's $40, $50, $60. So there's a lot of variables in here that we didn't add in. I appreciate that it's here to as a jumping point, but it's unfinished at best.
I think it's a great discussion among the mayor and the commissioners and the, our board and Clear Lake Estates board. But I think uh, we still got a lot of work to do in order to get the numbers out correctly so we can sell it to our 142 because they're going to have the same questions. They're going to say, what's going on with Avion Point? Why aren't they coughing up more? What's going on with Clear Lake Estates? And I'm not trying to add more to your budget, Clear Lakes Estates, so I apologize ahead of time. I'm in her car. But I think there's still a lot of questions that we need to be able to have answers before we can go back in front of our community and say this is what's going on. But in the meantime, the lake is going up, down, up, down. We are getting into hurricane season. Most of the pictures that you've seen on the internet or on the news happen to be her house. That was 2 or 3 feet away. Greg and I looked at it quite a bit. So I haven't been over there for a little while, but it's definitely, she knows the lake probably the levels just as much as anybody that's measuring it. So I think it's a great discussion, but I still think we need a lot of work.
So, have you had any discussion with the other two developments? With what is it, Clear Lake? Your Clear Lake Landing, Clear
Correct.
Lake Estates, and Avian Point. Are
No,
they
ma'am.
aware of this? Oh, you
So
are.
Yeah. That's Clear Lake Estates. I don't know where. I don't.
Everyone's very aware.
I can't get Avion Point to cut their palm trees down, so I don't know how to get a hold of them to have a discussion with them. Or
But if they're putting in 60,000, somebody's talking to them. So
correct.
Who?
it's just I don't know. Where's the 60,000 coming from?
From
Avion Point.
that's the 60 they put up front.
Right. So who got that 60,000 from
It's
them?
it's
So,
in our got it.
so somebody's talking to them
I-
somewhere.
No,
I have one question. The 60,000. Am I hearing this right? That wasn't the 60,000 to pump the original deal to pump the lake.
no, we've got it in. We've got it in our in a reserve.
Okay, so that wasn't paid. I thought that was discussed to have the pumping. So there's 60,000 to come to.
Yeah.
So they knew about that a pump.
No,
They did. They just gave 60,000.
they gave the 60,000 to make y'all go away.
Must be free.
Yeah.
So they gave 60,000, but they didn't know why they were paying 60,000.
Well, sure, to get their development.
To okay, say that again.
To get their development.
So hush money.
No,
Hush money is what I yeah
no.
yeah.
But
So they paid 60,000 to get a
Oh.
CO.
no, that they came forward for the development agreement and they were complaining. The two neighborhoods were complaining about the water levels. They wanted to build some additional houses. We said, well, one of the conditions will be that you put $60,000 toward the long term solution for Clear Lake. So that's how.
Mayor, with all due respect, we need to negotiate better because they needed something, right? And they built a lot more houses than just what they needed. They probably could have probably asked them for 450 when they needed their CO and needed that done. But now in the meantime, our 142 residents and possibly Clear Lake Estates are going to have to front this bill. But they got their CO and everything looks good because they coughed up $60,000. It just doesn't look good, Mayor.
How many residents are there? There's thousands.
Yeah. How many total houses were built over there in residents or units?
Well, only a quarter of the neighborhood drains into Clear Lake. The rest of it goes north. So only a quarter of Avian Point.
So that
Right?
explains.
Yeah.
So that explains. My daughter's taking her permit deal, so we drive over there. That
Sure.
must be that little slight bump that we hit that diverts the water away from our lake. Then.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's how they get down to the 25% of the.
Who did that study?
That's what.
We calculated that based on the area that was presented in the map. From what was in the pre-development, I believe it was 32%. In the post-development, it was 24%.
What I
So
find
they reduced basically between pre and post. They reduced the area draining into the basin, into Clearwater Lake, for 8% of the overall area that was draining there.
But a lake that was already flooded was approved to have another 25% dumped into it.
No, no. The originally 32% of their property was draining into this area, right? Or was contributing into the drainage basin. After the post development, after the property was developed, only 24%.
It's at $60,000 that they gave.
Well, it's not. It
It
was.
changed
I
the
don't
number.
believe it was related to that. I think it was an additional phase that was already approved by the major development plan. So it was, from what I recall, there was a discussion here at this podium, and the developer said that they will contribute about $60,000 to continue with the project because,
They needed something.
well, they could have built it no matter what. I mean, it was approved by the major development plan.
But wasn't it held up for a little while?
It was because of the concerns that the other two neighborhoods.
So they paid 60,000 to get what they wanted, and now we're fronting that bill, correct?
I wouldn't qualify it like that because always, if you have already approved plans, major development plan, it may end up with a lawsuit. So,
Yeah.
I'm just, I don't know all the details on this, but I'm speculating that that could potentially happen, right?
So before that development was built, shouldn't have this study been done prior?
They still have to meet the 1 in 100 year. I mean, when you talk about stormwater, Vlad, what's the minimum standard is they have to meet the 1 in 100 year.
Yes, yes. All all they have to meet in this situation was basically the the post-development discharge into the drainage basin cannot exceed the flow and the volume of the pre-development discharge. And I believe they met that condition because St. John's otherwise wouldn't issue a permit. I mean, these are the conditions that they require for their permit.
So why would they give $60,000 if they felt like they didn't do anything wrong? There's a potential lawsuit. Their project was moving along just perfect, but the minute that their project slowed down because you had two communities, I'll say the polite way, that raised stink on it, then the $60,000 automatically showed up.
I can't speak for them, but typically what happens is if somebody is in the middle of development and already had developed 2 or 3 phases and they want to complete the project, they will rather contribute into the solution that is kind of presented or the belief is that exists, and they're kind of involved in that in order to move the project and to finish what they've started.
Who negotiated the 60? Who came up with the $60,000?
We did as a council.
Yeah, yeah, it was presented here at the city
Okay.
council. Yeah.
Can I say one thing on that?
Sure.
That's supposed to
Come, come to the mic.
And the reason why I'm cutting in is because there's some. My name is Venus Griffith, Commissioners and Mayor. I live 2428 Wyndham Bay Place in Apopka, Clear Lake Estate subdivision. There is footage out there that the developers of Avion Park dump dirt in Clear Lake Lake. There is footage out there, and I'm not going to tell you where it is, but there is footage out there. So you pay them off, or they paid you to keep quiet, knowing that they dumped out there. And they said the mayor knew about it.
No, that's wrong. That's an absolute fabrication.
Okay. Well, one day I'll show up with the footage
You
that they dumped.
sure? Let's do it.
You know, because nobody's accountable to say where the $60,000 are coming from. That's just hush money. We Clear Lake Estates suffered because of greed all the way around the lake, and I love my neighbors because they're right across the street from me, right across the lake and everything. But we are suffering. I've been in my home for 19 years. And we had no problem. Hurricanes came and gone, trees are down. I don't care, but we had no problem. And to find out the history of Apopka Lake is they had never built houses over there because the dirt, everything is bad because of pesticides that goes all the way back to the 1900s. And I have proof with that as well. So why Clear Lake Estates, Clear Lake Landings, Avion Park, because of greed and say, okay, we're going to build, but the infrastructure is not out there. And you promised me When you put in the 429 there, that lady stood right here from the highway and said, "You will have no more flooding problems. If we come in, we'll make sure there's no flooding problems." There is going to be a flooding problem. We have a hurricane out there, going to be a hurricane, tropical storm. If we have another Milton, then my house will be floated down the river. And then what you going to say? It's no accountability. Why are we paying for your mistake or your greed? Why are we doing that? Because I don't see Apopka, city of Apopka paying a dime. You passing it on to us, which is very unfair. I would get hit first because I have the biggest lot out there, as everybody can see, and I'll get hit first. My grandson can't even play out there because he thinks that's our park. He said, "What happened, Grandma? Just a few of us run around that park and everything. It's all damaged." An insurance company is never going to touch that. That's a big liability. We don't have enough, 10 million, 25 million, to really come there and do what you say you're going to do. And we putting a Band-Aid on Niagara Falls because you cannot guarantee us that this will work in 2 years, in 1 year. You just say a possibility. And we pay out money for what? For nothing. Do you think that's fair, Mayor? Or you could bring your grandson or your grandbaby over to my house after it rained and play around the park where alligators are. And I haven't seen any alligators because they float down low. It was a canal back and forth. Look at the maps. So the people that built Avion Park dumped dirt and clogged up that
Sir,
lake.
you need to set us that. We'll let our MS4 coordinator take care of that. That's
How
illegal.
you gonna take care of it? Then you're gonna have us to pay money to go down into the
I
lake.
just need to see the pictures. Give us
Okay,
the
so
pictures.
when if
Give
it's
us the
true,
pictures.
if it's true, then what are you going to do? I want to hear
We will
this.
take them to court.
You I'll be an old lady by the time you take them to court
Well,
and try to.
so what would you like me to do?
We're going to have to do something. I know.
Okay, so you're going to give me the pictures from the people that were dumping into the lake. If you'll do that, we'll take the appropriate measures.
It's
I
going
can
to
assure
take a
you
long
that.
time. It's still not going to resolve the
No,
flooding.
I'm addressing this one issue. So
Okay.
you want to bring me the pictures showing they dumped dirt into the lake. We will take appropriate action.
Well, your engineers here did not really wasn't looking at stuff properly. They were not. It was at night, and they do it a lot at night. I saw them.
Okay, well then give me the pictures. That's all
Okay.
I'm asking.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Oh yeah, about the trees, because we talked about the trees the last time. Commissioner Nestor said, "Can you remove the trees that was killed there?"
Do we remove?
We have over 100 trees.
Can I shoot? So the trees, was the trees on? So we have city trees on city property that we haven't removed that are dangerous. So I
It's
want to make sure because we should not definitely be having
far as
trees
I
on our
know, that
property
is city property. As far as I know, I don't have the
because we
map
definitely need to look at
where
that
it's
in
supposed to be,
persons.
but all of our trees on that lake side are dead. We took down some, and we paid for it because it's some of them just fell. Yeah, it was very. We have a sign: fallen trees, alligator, snakes. Nobody. How could you sell your house because you have danger right there?
Excuse me, Radley, have we assessed to see if there's any trees that are on city property that we're liable for?
Commissioner, we don't have any city property around that
We
lake,
don't have any city
That's right.
property.
It's all
We
private
never signed
property.
off,
It's
right?
in their gated
so that's all
community.
private
She
property.
said they're
There's no
saying that
city
there's
property.
The city.
no.
It's all. I've
So
been
it's
to
private.
the property.
I've been through it too, but I'm just not.
It's
Maybe
all-
I'm missing something.
No,
No. There's no
the
private
trees are all in by the lake.
I've been okay. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
so that's a gated community.
I've
We
been in
don't
there.
have any city property in
That's
there.
okay.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I just want to.
So
Are we allowed to?
I guess what we need a more detailed breakdown. I need to get that to you. I need to come up with an insurance cost for the pump station.
So within my closing, Mayor
Liability.
and commissioners, I think here's what we need to do. As you can clearly see, there's a lot of gaps in this plan. I think we really need to refocus it, Mayor. I've sent you a couple emails to sit down, even prior to this meeting, to where we could have been better prepared. And I laid it all out for you. I said, hey, let's sit back down and talk, so that way when we come to this meeting, we have more answers. Now I feel like we're 2 to 3 weeks out from our last time that we were in here. Nothing's getting done. We have a savings of $18, but we have a lot more loopholes. Everything's being sold on. We're saving you money. We're saving you money, but we're not. So, with all due respect, I think we need to go back to the drawing board. Um, Somebody's got Avion Point's number, so maybe we dial them up and talk to them about fronting more of a cost, so that way our community at Clear Lake Estates is not holding this iron for only they're into it for $60,000, but you're asking my community to go get a loan for $350,000 plus maintain it for years to come,
Plus
plus
save
insurance.
money every month.
I'm sorry.
Plus save money every month.
We don't know if there's savings. I know, Mayor, it's frustrating. I'm with you. I do the same thing. There's just like you told me, this is an asset. It's not an asset. It's a liability. I can't sell this pump. It's a liability. This now becomes our HOA's liability, where we have to go put a line item within our budget on maintenance, cost, repair, everything. 100%. Which means now our board and our property management company are probably going to be looking for more money, because now they have to go out and find somebody that's going to maintain this, make sure it's done, manage the billing of it each month. There's a lot that goes into this. Who's going to pay? Who's going to collect the money? Our property management company is not a collection agency, so now we have to have an attorney. So if for some reason a homeowner decides not to pay their front of the bill, now we've got to get legal action involved in that. There's a lot of costs, so now that $18 isn't looking so good. I'd appreciate the time, Mayor,
Can I ask
Commissioner.
you-
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
I was going through, unfortunately, I remember the last time that you were here and you said that you kept referencing different emails between you and the mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
I did get all those emails today.
That's
But
great.
what is the ongoing lawsuit? Who does that involve?
We had an ongoing lawsuit with the developer of the community that has now been settled.
And it was settled.
It was settled.
Okay.
But that didn't have anything to do with us, right?
That has nothing to do with the city.
Okay.
The prior board filed the suit, and the new board had cleaned it up. So, unfortunately, I can't discuss the deal, but yes, there was an ongoing, and it has been settled.
Was the lawsuit had anything to do with the flooding in the lake?
No, ma'am.
Okay. No, because I saw correspondence regarding it, so I was wondering, does it have anything to do with the lake?
The relevancy, yeah.
Yeah. Now, there was a signed agreement from the city, and this is prior to me getting on the board, where the city signed an agreement, and I'd have to find that agreement. I know we could pull it up. And that agreement was where the city was taking some type of responsibility that they were going to handle it. We did give that to another lawyer to take a look at it, to see if it was a binding agreement between the city and our Clear Lake landings. So I'd have to get that to you, Commissioner, and I could definitely look
Yeah,
at that.
because I did see when I had asked for it at that meeting, today I got all the emails. You send them mostly all to Commissioner Nesta. So I was able to get them because it's public record, but I'm just reviewing them now, trying to kind of get the timeline, the dates, when you wrote to the mayor and he responded. And so I kept seeing something in the early months regarding an ongoing lawsuit. So I was unsure if it had anything to do with the
Yeah.
flooding issue.
And Commissioner, just so you know, the Nestus only came up from the prior meeting a little bit before I shared the emails, because it's kind of hard to pull your emails down off of the website, because when you click on it to try to copy it, it does something crazy. So I couldn't get each commissioner on there.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I did get them today, so
That's great.
quite a few. So I'm just trying to
100%.
put them in some kind of order.
Well, like I stated before, Commissioner, we were kind of confused. I mean, we sat in my house. A loan for our community was never brought up. I found out about a loan from our community when we were sitting here in the meeting the last time.
Well, I did see an email from the mayor to you on July 10th, where he actually is letting you know that this was going to be on the July 16th city council. And he had, his email basically said, please invite the community to come out. But you're saying that when you received that email, you were unaware that at some point you were going to be responsible.
That email,
Cost.
ma'am, is something completely different. That he was inviting, saying, "Hey, we're going to discuss this now." What I'm talking about is if you go back in the emails, if you have a list of all the emails, you'll see where we were talking numbers. We were talking, if you look at one of the emails, I said, hey, what happens if our community pays 225 or 250? I can't remember what it was in there.
It was half of 450K, so 225,000.
Sounds great.
Right, the city cover half of the installation cost of the pump. There was what you proposed, your
Correct.
alternative, and that was back in May 9th.
That would
That
be
was
correct.
May 9th.
Yes, ma'am. So we were negotiating at that deal because I thought the city was going to front this bill up front, and then we were going to pay back. That you guys were going to collect from the residents on the reclaim part until the loan was paid off. And then if you go back and look at that email, we're trying to figure out who's the collection part of it once this loan's paid off. Who collects for the maintenance and repairs and insurance and so forth. So that's what that email stated. I had a lot of questions in there. If you
You did.
Yeah.
You did. So again, I just have to kind of sit down and review all
No, I
those.
appreciate it. And like I said, this is a great first step. I'm
Right.
hoping that we can move it along. As stated, there's a hurricane out there right now. Hopefully it doesn't hit our area or any area, but definitely over our lake. I don't want Nicole. I love her to death and her family, but I don't want to see her at my house because I'm higher ground. But she's welcome to. But let's. I like to continue the discussion and try to get some type of a solution and resolution on this.
Okay. Any other final comments, questions?
I just have a
Come on, come on.
Jeff Chaffee, 2444 Wyndham Bay Place, Clear Lake Estates. I got a couple questions on option 2 for the pump and all that stuff. How many gallons does it take to get from 69 foot elevation to 63?
I'm glad you asked that. Well, so you got a 39 acre lake, and there's 336,000 gallons of water per acre foot. So an acre foot is 13 million gallons.
A lot.
13
So what
million.
is with the new pump?
So let me give you the numbers. Clear Lake. Let's see here, 25. Let me get you 24 because I got the full year on 24. Hang on just 1 second. Mind. Shoot. I just had it. Oh, here we go. Okay. 24. So 2024, Clear Lake Estates used 6,522,000 gallons. Clear Lake Landings used 50,475,656 gallons. Your neighborhood averaged 543,000 gallons a month, and Clear Lake Landing averaged 4 million gallons, 4,200,000 gallons per month.
Was that your question?
No.
I thought,
Like, how many gallons does it take
right.
from 69 foot elevation to get it down to 63 to
So
pump
it'd be
it?
6 times the,
13 months, so 78 million gallons.
Okay. So then what would it take for this new pump to pump it to get it down that far?
how long would it take?
Yeah.
I'm not, Greg, you remember how big how big the
I
pump
mean,
So
roughly.
with an 8-inch pipe, will typically 24 hours operations, 1.1 million gallons a day.
1.1 million?
1.1 million a day
Wow.
with a 5 feet per second velocity, right? If we use the same velocity, let's say a 6-inch pipe, in 24 hours, I think it's around 450, maybe. No, I'm sorry. It's about 600,000 gallons.
So it's bigger than the temporary pump that we had.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was, I think, a 6-inch. I think it was a 6
Yeah,
inch.
I thought.
Yeah.
So what do you do with that water when it's pumped? It's going to go through and get cleaned up.
On option
chlorine.
2,
Yes.
option 2 would go to our our facility there on Lust Road,
Yeah.
where we have two ponds. The water would go into the ponds, would be filtrated, would come out of the filtration, then would have to be chlorinated, and then we can then put that into our reclaimed water system.
And then you're going to sell it
Yes.
at $85, $85 a month per household. So we're paying $1 million for all of that when you're going to take that water and sell it.
But
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, you're not paying for the
And we're still paying for
electricity.
reclaimed.
Right. I got it.
So we're paying and giving you water, and then you're making money on that.
We're having to treat the water to sell.
You're not paying more than you're getting paid.
But we're also having to
You're not paying more than you're getting paid for it. Right.
Well, we can pull it out of the ground for the electricity pulled out of the
I'm
ground.
just saying it's free water we're giving you that we're paying $1 million for. It'd be nice to know what those numbers are.
What numbers?
How much you're making on all that water continuously.
Well,
if we're going to keep putting water into the lake from our irrigation, because we're all still going to be on reclaimed, and you're going to continue to get that water, yes, you're paying to have it filtered and treated, but you're also reselling that water. I mean, where's those numbers? Where's that data?
That's not certain. That was something that we were discussing, and we will have to clarify that with St. John's and DEP. If we can actually resell that water, because it's going to require additional treatment, right? So we didn't calculate what the additional treatment cost will be for the city. What I was looking at on just a short notice, right, because we had to prepare this, was okay. There's an option that the permit that St. John's issued right now, you can withdraw 19.2 million gallons a year, and we can store there 20 million gallons total, right, in those two ponds.
Mm-hmm.
So it was to keep it there and, hoping evaporation will help with some of the water to get down.
You're going to sell that water.
No, if we
You're
don't.
just going to hold it until the end of time.
Well, if we don't treat it, we can't sell it, right? We're going to have to keep it there in the pond. So.
But we don't use that pond now at all, correct?
No. Right now, they're not in use, yes. And that's why I was looking at this option. Potentially, we can utilize it. Because if we had other sources coming into that pond, that option 2 was going to be probably out of question.
So if we go with option 2 and you don't sell that water and we just keep pumping it, what's going to happen?
Well, you can, because you can only pump out 19.2 million gallons according to, and Greg, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the permit calls for 19.2 million gallons total, right? With a monthly not to exceed 4 million gallons. So let's say you have really, during the rainy season, you have 2 or 3 months where you can actually get to 4 million gallons every month. Mm-hmm. That will give you, let's say, 12 million gallons, right? So the remaining of the year, you're going to be only limited to 7 or 8 million gallons that you can pump out of the lake.
But why would you give us this option if it's not really an option?
Well, it is.
Just to scare us away with the $1 million price tag?
No, it's... Okay.
The water's not just going to go and sit somewhere and stay there forever, is it? The mayor said you're going to sell it.
Possibly, yes. If DEP can modify the permit, and we're going to have to meet certain standards, and we don't know what these standards are to treat the water so we can be sent back to public access, right? So that's why we didn't have the cost estimate of what it's going to cost the city to treat this water to bring it to the standard that can be sent.
And the standards that we have to meet are greater than the standards you have to meet to irrigate your yards with, right?
Yes, it's going to be different.
I understand that. Yes. Okay. It's going into reclaim.
Real quick. I mean, the option I thought you guys were talking about, because I was not involved in dealing, was actually just discharging it to the other basin, which is what they did during that emergency permit. Right. So so if they're going to collect the water and treat the water and then send it back into the reuse, that's more in Vlad's realm, if you will. Mm-hmm. And so if that's something that you wouldn't have a lot of time to evaluate that in the time frame since I talked to him, which was last week sometime. No,
2 years not enough time.
No, I just talked with him week or so ago. But the idea is it's
I
a
got it.
fair idea.
I got it.
Yeah.
And just it was given to us as an option.
Right.
We need to know all of the ramifications of that option. I mean, if they're going to treat it and sell it like the mayor says, then I mean, what
And
is that? What is that cost?
yeah,
I guess.
and
I
that
guess that's what we
and
need
that
to find
capital
out.
cost of $1 million that I kind of rounded was it's maybe a little bit more conservative because it takes into account, if the city needs to operate that, we want to have a wet well where you can have the pump actually in an enclosure, so you don't have the pump running next to these houses 12 hours a day, right, or 24 hours a day in a case of emergency. It drives you crazy. So we I kind of try to take that into consideration, right? So also to automate some of the valves, let's say, to have a proper monitoring of that, so we don't have to send a person to check on that every day, that we can remotely control that through the SCADA system. So a lot of these technical gadgets that you need to include in that, they're not cheap, right? They can add to the cost. And but ultimately we have to do the cost benefit analysis, of
But it could be
course.
more than $1 million.
I doubt it, but I would say bare minimum it's gonna be maybe 700 to $800,000, right?
It'd be nice to know what's going on, what you're going to do with that water, what it's going to cost, and at least see the numbers. If we're going to get numbers on everything else, why can't we get numbers on that?
We can do that.
Good.
Sure.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Anybody else? Any last thoughts?
I just had a question. We didn't discuss option 3 at all. What does that look like pragmatically on a consistent basis, like annually?
Well, there will be. We already spent
And
almost
option 3 was the
almost
repeat
200.
temporary pumping whenever needed. It's just not up there. I just want to tell.
Yes. So 2.5 years ago, the cost was almost $200,000 for emergency pumping
Well, not so much talking about that. What's the
for 3
process?
months.
What's the process?
Oh, the permitting process is also. I'm not sure if the water management district will be willing to continue issuing these emergency permits, right, at every storm situation. That's another thing. At the time this was addressed, it was like after Hurricane Ian, so the water table was still high, pretty high. And the pumping, I believe, started in February of 23 and ended up sometime in April. So I think the permit was issued for 90 days. And typically the water management district will issue these permits for no more than 90 days, so 3 months. And the idea was to pump the water during the dry season and then accommodate the next rainy season with more storage.
So with that same thought process, we could apply that annually, possibly.
Yeah, but that will be probably today's prices, easy, maybe $300,000 at this moment.
All right. Any last thoughts? Not. We'll take it to. Huh? We're gonna get you some numbers. We'll get you the numbers.
You get one numbers and then can we set another meeting? I guess so. That's what I'm asking.
What's that?
Can we set another meeting up between these three?
Are-
We need the clarification. We need to know which way we're going. Maybe obviously we need clarification on what's another workshop and what's going on.
Is someone going to reach out to Avion Point? Are you guys going to reach out to Avion Point to?
I have their palm trees knocking down fences on our side, and I can't even get them to return a call. There's 2 different boards over there, and all I've been told is that since it's damaging our property, I can cut it and push it over. But we gotta, once we start the house.
So you guys need, okay. You have a contact? Okay.
Bradley, you'd like
I'm
to
trying to
go.
get your contact number.
We can try and get some of this information pulled together, and then if you'd like, Mayor, staff can meet with the HOA representatives.
Okay.
And maybe, what do you think? A month, 3 weeks? A month. Probably about a month.
Okay.
Can we clear our calendars and put a date down so we all,
For what? Another workshop, or are we ready to?
well, I think we need to. If we pull the trigger, let's go.
Can we get numbers even before we meet?
Sure, absolutely. Let's hopefully have those next week.
Let's sit down and go over it while we're waiting for this month. And then I think another $1 million cost.
Okay.
How much are you able to bring in, cost to treat that water and be able to ship it out, and then what's your profit? What's your retail rate once you ship it out? Because your $1 million doesn't look so good if you're making money and it takes you 8 years to make that back. You're gonna need water because you keep building. So be a good idea to figure out that way. Evidently there's 50, 60 million gallons in it that you can sell. So $1 million, you might as well make $1 million back.
Okay.
Do we want to aim for like the fourth week in September? That gives ample time to get numbers and schedules aligned. Maybe the 22nd.
What's the 22nd?
For September 22nd to potentially do another workshop.
Well, I'll confirm that. I have to look at the schedule. That's way in advance right now for me.
Yeah. The week before would be better for me.
The only reason I said I didn't say that is because it's a city council week, so just for staff's sake. But
So the 15th looks better.
Yes. Well, me and
Okay.
Commissioner Vasquez
No,
said she
I
needs
have
to check
to.
our
Yeah, I have to
calendar.
go home and look at the schedule because you
Okay.
know,
Sure.
I
Sure.
have it.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we'll bring it to city council next meeting. We'll
Tentative
just
decide
check
a
your
date.
date, see if the 15th works, and then we'll
I'll put the 2
we'll bring it.
dates. Yeah.
Probably just put on your administration report for next week, and we'll announce the next workshop.
Okay.
So we can put down the 15th at 6 and
Is a tentative, yes. Yeah. Yep. All right. Thanks everybody for coming out.